So I want to go over something really quick that's important, and it's an exercise that is sometimes done wrong in the gym, but I don't think a lot of people know why it's done wrong. So I want to go over that exercise and explain how it should be done right and why it's done wrong. So your rotator cuff is very important because this group of muscles essentially attaches from this front side of your arm to stabilize the head of your humerus into the socket of your joint. And when these muscles contract, they essentially pull your arm this way into internal rotation because they are attaching like this, essentially. So they're pulling you this way in rotation. Your external rotators attach on the backside, and there's several of them. You have your infraspinatus, you have your teres minor, your posterior delt, some muscles like that. And a lot of this group is attaching on the backside of your arm. And when it contracts, they are rotating you this way here. So they're pulling the head of your humerus into the socket, and a lot of them are the rotators, which is why they're called the rotator cuff. A lot of times for strengthening, I will see somebody holding a weight and doing this into internal rotation, or doing this into external rotation. And the problem with that is when you're using a dumbbell, what is acting as resistance is gravity. It's the weight in your hand, and gravity's pulling straight down. Since these rotator cuff muscles attach and are essentially they're rotators, so since they're attaching this way, that means that the line of force has to be oppositional to the muscle group. So since gravity is pulling up and down, a dumbbell does you no good to strengthen these muscles. Essentially, all you're doing is strengthening your bicep isometrically. So you have to have a resistance that, like a band, that is pulling oppositionally to the group, which is why if you're going in external rotation, you need something pulling you this way as you're coming out. And then if you're going to go into internal rotation, it has to be the opposite. It has to be going out this direction as you rotate in. But the line of force has to be oppositional to the group, which is why holding that dumbbell is good for your biceps, because your bicep contracts this way. And so the dumbbell is acting this way. So it is acting as resistance. But in a rotator cuff exercise, a dumbbell doesn't actually oppose the group that you're trying to work. So if you're trying to strengthen your rotator cuff, I think that is very important. So good for you. But use a resistance that is opposing the group that you're working, such as a band is a good tool. You could also use like tubing or a TheraBand like this, but something that is opposing the muscle group is essential when strengthening